Hello, and welcome to this segment entitled Identity Framing and the Seeds of Greatness Model, Part 1, Clinical Foundations and Practical Home Application. For several years, I've had a number of parents asking me to create a short video explaining my intervention strategy and why it is so effective at improving a child's identity and behavior. So, over the next few minutes, I'll provide a brief summary of the integrated strategy shaping my clinical interventions for over 30 years. Identity framing is our applied behavioral methodology built on established principles of cognitive behavioral psychology and developmental theory. In the simplest terms, identity framing is the idea that what we repeatedly tell children regarding who and what they are and how it relates to their effort becomes integrated into their self-identity, which we know drives behavior. In my clinic, Transformations Rehab and Wellness, I teach my patients and clients they have seeds of greatness inside of them. In addition, I teach them that their greatness grows when they do something good and when they do something difficult. We call it doing good things and hard things. During their first session with me, I let them know I will be testing them today and I need them to do their best in everything I ask them to do. That sets the expectations high. Then I have them perform various sensory motor gymnasium obstacle course stations. I am careful to challenge them just slightly above their comfort level, but not too high so as to avoid them becoming overly fearful and giving up. After they complete all of the challenging tasks in the sensory motor gymnasium, I sit with them one-to-one and have a conversation that generally goes like this. If it's someone I am unfamiliar with, I'll ask them questions such as what they would like to be when they grow up. I will also ask them what their favorite subject is at school, etc. All of this is to get to know the person better and get them more comfortable with me. Then I'll introduce myself and tell them a little bit about me. For example, I will say I've been doing this for over 30 years. My specialty is identifying greatness inside of people and helping them become successful. Then I'll ask them if they understand what it means to be successful. Most of the time they do. Then I'll ask them, so do you want to have a successful life or an unsuccessful life? They always say they want to have a successful life. Then I say, today is a very special day for you because I'm going to teach you one of the fundamental secrets of having a successful life. This is a life secret that very few people understand. Are you ready? At this point, I have their complete attention. Then I continue saying, today I tested you. I had you doing some really challenging stations on the obstacle course. I did that on purpose because I wanted to see how you would react. Sometimes when kids are faced with something challenging, they quit. You didn't quit. Even though some of them were really hard, you did them anyways. You did a great job, and I see something special in you. Then I will ask the child if they know what a seed is. They'll usually make some reference to a seed growing into a plant. Then I say, that's right. In the same way you have seeds of greatness inside of you, you proved it today. So I want you to repeat after me. I have seeds of greatness inside of me. After they repeat it, I look at them square in the eye and say, absolutely. You do have seeds of greatness inside of you. And from now on, anytime I ask you what's inside of you, I want you to stand up straight with your shoulders back and say, I have seeds of greatness inside of me. Just to confirm the child understands, I'll ask them to say it a couple more times. Each time they say it, I provide an affirming response, such as, absolutely, you do have seeds of greatness inside of you. Always remember that. Then I ask them if they know what a seed requires to grow. Most of the time they know the answer, but if they don't, I'll say, a seed requires sunlight and water. The child confirms. Then I will say, in the same way, your seeds of greatness will grow when you do two things. It doesn't require 100 things, just two things. Your seeds of greatness grow when you do good things and hard things. That's it. If you dedicate your life to always doing good things and hard things, your greatness will grow and you will have a successful life. Often I will use subtle hand gestures to emphasize growth. Then I will ask them to repeat the following phrase. My seeds of greatness grow when I do good things and hard things. I'll ask them to repeat that statement multiple times. Each time they say it, I give them an affirmation statement such as, absolutely 100%, your greatness grows when you do good things and hard things. Then I will inform them that from now on, anytime I ask them what they have inside of them, they are to repeat, I have seeds of greatness inside of me. When I ask them, how does your greatness grow? They repeat, my greatness grows when I do good things and hard things. By repeating this multiple times throughout the session and in different ways, I set the expectation high that this lesson is not a one-time thing, but needs to be stored in their memory bank and easily accessible upon request. Then I remind them of how they completed many difficult tasks today. I'll say today on the obstacle course, you did a lot of hard things. If your seeds of greatness grow when you do good things and hard things, and you did a lot of hard things today, what happened inside of you today? They will always respond. My greatness grew, and once again, I respond with an affirmative reply. After this portion of our one-to-one session, we typically go back into the sensory motor gymnasium, and I'll have them perform some of the more challenging obstacles because I set the foundation for growing their greatness. They tend to be more confident and willing to push themselves beyond their previous comfort zone. After several small successes, I no longer have to tell them their greatness is growing. Instead, I'll ask, "What's happening inside of you?" And they'll respond, "My seeds of greatness are growing." To which I'll reply, "Absolutely." If I feel truly confident the patient is understanding this concept, I'll ask them, "Are you starting to understand how simple it is to grow your greatness and how becoming successful works? Every time you do something good or something hard, your greatness grows." Then I will relay this concept to a part of their everyday life by saying, and this is not just here in the gymnasium, your seeds of greatness grow anytime you do something good or something hard. For example, if you have a really difficult schoolwork assignment, even if you have to ask for help, but you do it, what happens inside of you? At this point, they start understanding the concept and will reply, "My greatness grows." I provided more affirmative responses, encouraging them to implement this idea into every aspect of their life. I will say, if you spend the rest of your life doing good things and hard things, your greatness will continue to grow, and by the time you're an adult, your greatness will be huge. What kind of life do you think you'll have if you keep doing this? They always reply, "A great life." I will agree with them by saying, "Exactly, it's just that simple. Always focus on doing good things, and be brave at doing hard things." Because I want them to value what they've learned today, I re-emphasize how this is a fundamental secret of having a successful and great life, and how today was a very special day for them, because they learned something that even many grown-ups don't understand. Typically, the expression on their face, wide-eyed and completely focused, is priceless, letting me know they truly value today's session. This first session sets the stage for the challenges associated with future therapy sessions, as well as challenging events they might face at home, school, etc. That is not motivational fluff, it's neuroscience, it's psychology, and it's a deliberate therapeutic design. Because when a child encounters something difficult, a hard thing, a region of the brain called the anterior cingulate cortex becomes highly active. That part of the brain detects conflict, which is the tension associated with this is hard, and I want to stop. If difficulty is repeatedly paired with frustration or shame, the brain begins to associate effort with threat and retreat. But when difficulty is paired with identity-based growth language, this is how my greatness grows. That same brain region begins to encode effort as productive rather than threatening. We are literally changing how the brain interprets challenge. All right, for the sake of clarification, let's take a deeper dive. Identity framing connects behavior to the person's identity. For example, instead of saying, "You did a good job," or "I'm happy you finished your homework," we say, "I am proud of you for being someone who does hard things," because every time you do hard things, your greatness grows. That shift moves the focus from outcome to identity. Outcomes fluctuate. Identity stabilizes behavior. When a child believes I am someone who grows when things are hard, they no longer depend on reward, praise, or perfection. They begin acting consistently with who they believe they are. That is internal motivation, and that is sustainable change. There's another neurological layer here. The brain has a filtering system called the reticular activating system. It determines what gets attention and what gets ignored. It constantly scans the environment asking, what matters? When a child believes, "I'm bad at this," their reticular activating system highlights mistakes. When a child believes, "I grow every time I do hard things," the reticular activating system begins scanning for opportunities to improve and persist. Identity literally changes what the brain notices and drives behavior. Okay, let's spend a moment discussing the theoretical foundations I use to develop my identity framing strategy. This approach is grounded in established psychology. Albert Bandura showed that beliefs about capability drive persistence. Carol Dweck demonstrated that effort-based language increases resilience. George Herbert Mead emphasized that identity forms through language and interaction. And scholars like James Paul G. showed how identity develops through repeated participation in meaning-rich environments. So identity framing is not a new trend. It's an applied synthesis of social, cognitive, and developmental science. By now, some of you may be wondering, what is the neurodevelopmental relevance? The short answer is this. When difficulty is repeatedly paired with positive meaning, the nervous system begins to reinterpret stress. Instead of, this feels uncomfortable, I should avoid it, the brain encodes, this is how I grow my greatness. That shift strengthens regulation within the anterior cingulate cortex, improving the child's ability to tolerate frustration, shift attention, and persist through discomfort. At the same time, the reticular activating system begins prioritizing evidence that supports that identity, noticing moments of effort, self-control, and growth. Over time, this improves emotional regulation, frustration tolerance, attention, persistence, impulse control, executive functioning, and it's especially powerful for children with self-regulation challenges. Identity framing turns stress into training. Hopefully, this is making sense so far. Let's continue with some practical applications parents can use at home, because this approach doesn't just belong in a clinical setting. Parents have the greatest influence on their children. As I always like to say, as a parent, you are 100% responsible for creating the best home environment, fostering your child's development. So these are some practical and easy tips. Number 1, chores and responsibility. Let's say you ask your child to help with chores. Maybe you have to ask 4 or 5 times. Eventually, they complete the task. Most supportive parents might say something along the lines of, "You did a great job with that." And while there's nothing wrong with this approach, identity framing is more effective because it goes one step further. Within the identity framework, you would say, "Thank you for being a great helper." Notice the shift. You are not praising the action alone. You are reinforcing the child's identity as being a good helper. Keep in mind, this takes time and patience, but with consistent reinforcement, the child begins to internalize, "I am a good helper." This same approach can be applied to any and all characteristics or traits you desire your child to possess. I always like to encourage parents to imagine their child as an adult, say approximately 25 years of age, then create a handwritten list of all the characteristics or traits they want their child to possess. Things like honesty, integrity, respect for others, self-respect, courageous, you get the idea. Parents are encouraged to handwrite the list, then place the list somewhere they will see it every day. That exercise activates the parent's own reticular activating system to begin noticing every time their child does something consistent with one of those characteristics or traits. Every time your child performs consistent with one of the characteristics, you reinforce it with acknowledgement. For example, if your child says please or thank you, you can respond by saying, "I appreciate that. You are so polite and have such great manners." Or if your child is struggling to complete an assignment and has to work hard, you could say something along the lines of, "You are a hard worker and your greatness grows every time." These types of statements reinforce the desired characteristics as already being a part of their identity. Okay, let's continue. Number 2. Some of you may have a child struggling with being truthful and forthright, especially when trying to avoid consequences or disciplinary action. In this case, as in all cases, remaining calm is critical in gaining the child's trust. If I need to ask a child a question and I suspect they might not tell the truth, I never say, "I'm going to ask you a question and you better not lie to me." The justification for not utilizing this approach is because, as most parents will attest, this approach usually falls short of the desired outcomes. The reason being is because the brain encodes concepts, not negations. I'm going to repeat that again. The brain encodes concepts, not negations. For example, if I say, "Don't think about a pink elephant with purple spots," even though I said don't, the brain automatically creates an image of the pink elephant with purple spots. That's what I mean by the brain tends to gravitate toward concepts rather than negations. Knowing this, I focus on the desired outcome. In this case, it would be the child telling the truth. So I'll say something along the lines of, "I'm going to ask you a question, and I want to remind you that you are a person who tells the truth, so the only thing that comes out of your mouth is the truth." Then I ask, "Do you understand what I just said?" They usually say yes. Then I say, "Tell me what you think I just said." And they'll often respond, "I only speak the truth." Now the identity has been activated, and I proceed with the question. This isn't manipulation, it's alignment. You are calling them up to who they are, not warning them about who they shouldn't be. That strengthens moral identity and reinforces neural pathways tied to self-regulation and integrity. Number 4, schoolwork and other difficult academic tasks. When your child completes an academic-related assignment, especially when it was difficult, don't just say, "Good job finishing your assignment." Instead, say, "You just did something hard. What's happening inside of you?" They'll almost always respond, "My greatness is growing." That reinforces effort as growth. Even if they struggled, even if it wasn't perfect, growth happened, and that effort is what we reinforce. Next, we will see how this applies to emotional regulation at home. When your child calms down after being upset, even if it took a while, instead of saying, "It's about time you stopped crying," try saying, "I know that was hard. I'm proud of you because being calm grows your greatness." As a parent, what you're doing is pairing self-control with identity, strengthening the brain's regulation centers through repetition. All right, now that you have these strategies in place, let's highlight a nightly reflection practice. At bedtime, ask the child to name some good things they did today. In addition, ask the child to name some hard things they did today. After the child recounts those experiences, ask them, "What happened inside you today?" Because they understand the seeds of greatness concept, they will answer, "My greatness grew today." Make sure you follow up with an affirming statement such as, "Absolutely, your greatness did grow today, and I'm so proud of you." Keep doing good things and hard things, and your greatness will continue to grow every single day, and you will have a successful life. This not only confirms what they did today, but it lays the groundwork for future challenges they will face. This simple daily reflection stabilizes identity, both present and future, making it extremely powerful and neurologically strategic. In addition, this nightly reflection redirects their attention by assigning meaning to those events, as well as reinforcing identity. And here's why that matters. During sleep, especially early deep sleep, the hippocampus part of the brain consolidates and stores the day's experiences. If a child goes to bed replaying embarrassment, mistakes, or frustration, those are the experiences that get strengthened. But when you deliberately guide them to rehearse effort, growth, and resilience, you are shaping how those memories are encoded. They don't just store, "That was hard." They store, "I did something hard and my greatness grew today." In addition, the anterior cingulate cortex of the brain, which activates when something feels difficult or when there's internal conflict, is encouraged to calmly revisit difficult or challenging moments at bedtime from a place of safety. This helps the brain positively re-encode difficulties without the stress chemistry attached to it. Over time, effort stops feeling threatening and starts feeling productive. And if that wasn't enough, his nightly routine also strengthens the reticular activating system. It starts scanning during the day. For those moments, they begin thinking, "This is one of those hard things I'll talk about tonight." That increases awareness of effort in real time. And what we repeatedly notice, we reinforce. So this bedtime reflection isn't just reviewing that day's events. It's training attention. It's strengthening regulation. It's consolidating identity. And when a child ends the day saying, "My greatness is growing," they are literally wiring that belief into long-term memory. That's how identity stabilizes, that's how resilience compounds, and repetition is what rewires the brain. Understandably, some people will wonder if this is an effective long-term strategy. To them, I would remind them, raising children is a marathon. So think long-term. After all, what other option do you have? It is important to note some children take longer than others. But if you are consistent and patient, eventually you will see the fruit of your labor. Children do begin to self-narrate. They start thinking for themselves, "This is hard, but this is how my greatness grows." Over time, that internal dialogue becomes automatic. That's why at Transformations, we are constantly increasing the level of difficulty and introducing new challenges for each child as they work through the obstacle courses. As they successfully complete each level, we connect their progress to their personal growth, reminding them that their greatness continues to expand. We encourage them to carry these lessons beyond the course and apply them to their everyday experiences. And that's when you see carryover at school, in sports, in friendships, in moral decision-making, in every facet of life. Remember, you're not just shaping behavior, you're shaping self-concept. Identity framing is about more than motivation. It's about helping children interpret their experiences in a way that builds resilience. When we consistently connect good things and hard things to internal growth, we are not just building skills, we are building identity. And identity drives behavior far more powerfully than reward ever will. And with that, I'll end this webinar. I want to thank you for taking time out of your day to tune in. I trust this information is helpful. As you begin applying these strategies, remember that every time you help a child develop a stronger sense of identity, growing their greatness, you yourself are doing something good and often something difficult, something hard, resulting in your own greatness growing. In essence, when it comes to that child, you are creating a legacy that may last for generations to come. And with that, we'll end the webinar. Thank you for logging in today. I hope you have a great rest of your day.